and his brain is still somewhat functioning. Maybe you still have some human cognitive abilities or thought process back here.
This isn't some decaying corpse on the ground. This is a living thing that's going to be coming after you in the world.
The fungus is always the focal point. So you can see from a distance, oh, this guy's infected. I can tell straight away.
In fungus, they have these beautiful saturated colors, and we really like that contrast of this something so horrific that it's going to like stop at nothing. It's relentless force of death, and yet elements of it are beautiful. It's not just about gore. It's not just about everything about it being scary, because to us it's actually scarier when things on it are somewhat benign or somewhat beautiful.
It was evident that we were onto something that was quite a bit different, and something that we hadn't really seen before, which was eerily human but very disturbing.
And it seemed so creepy and so unique that right away we gravitated towards it, and it's like, this is our base infected. Everything should kind of come out of this look. So once we had this idea of the face-splitting kind of look that eventually became what we called the clicker stage.
We went to great lengths to create a full biological cycle for these things.
So in the early stages, you don't actually see too many signs of the fungus surfacing out of the skin. It's kind of underneath it, like people have lumps starting to show. The eyes will be kind of cloudy or lopsided because the fungus kind of originates inside the head.
That moves into the next phase, which is the clicking phase.
And if they mess with the eyes, we end up saying, well, how do they get around? Oh, echolocation.
And they use a form of echolocation to track down their enemies.
Just like bats, or even some blind people can see by making a clicking sound, a sound that on its own wouldn't be very scary. And then to associate it with something that people in this world are very fearful of, so that as you're exploring an environment, all of a sudden you hear this click, and you're seeing everybody just get frightened, just everybody duck, everybody hushes.
Great.
The bloater is the most severe of the stages. So large pieces of the body has been replaced by these kind of fungal plates.
The fungus completely takes over the body and blooms.
They're kind of covered in things that have been growing on them. Things like moss and like little life on life kind of.
What the fuck is that?
Goddamn bloater!
When the infected feels like it's going to die, it finds like a dark corner and it becomes part of the environment.
The human elements aren't there anymore.
And then the body is gone.
They lay down and sprout and then spew spores.
And if people can breathe those spores, they become infected as well. It all had to kind of make sense of how each stage flowed from one to the other. And that's hopefully how we've created a world that you can kind of look through it and understand the science behind it and say, I could buy this, I could get into this. What if it jumped to humans? What would happen? How would people react? What would happen to society? As we're trying to develop the look of the infected, we went through so many different iterations. Some that looked really alien and subhuman, some that looked just essentially like zombies, and we couldn't find like an original place for them. But one of our artists just did this kind of photo mashup where he took a bunch of images of diseases or images of fungal overgrowth, and he kind of mashed it all together and he threw it on this person.
It was a very iterative process, making sure that the fungus felt properly integrated, like it was part of the body, growing out of the body.
And not just fungus growing on the head, but it's tearing the face apart, cleft down the middle, this gaping maw of a mouth with the crooked teeth.
And it's in great agony as its humanity